It is now my pleasure to turn the program over to my colleague, Rhett Buttle.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Rhett Buttle. I'm proud to be here today as a small business advocate and president of the Public-Private Strategies Institute. We have an amazing program for you today. I wanted to take a moment to thank all of you who are attending. We're joined today by an audience of thousands of small business owners from across the country. And up on this virtual wall you see, there's an amazing set of small business owners and small business leaders, too many of them to name one by one, but who are working nonstop, I promise you, over the last year to make sure that small businesses survive COVID-19. As advocates and leaders in your communities, we know how important taking time away from your business is, so we are so grateful to have you with us today. Shortly after the Biden-Harris administration took office, the Public-Private Strategies Institute was proud to partner with the US Small Business Administration to launch the Getting Back on Track series. These are educational events that help small business owners have the tools that they need to recover from the pandemic. The series is focused on helping them understand the benefits of the American Rescue Plan, provide pathways and access to capital, help them understand how they can be small business vaccine leaders in their communities, and take advantage of digital tools to help their businesses grow. Additionally, this series has been a great opportunity for small business owners to speak directly with their government and for their government to hear from them. To date, we've had almost 30 events, and we've reached over 100,000 small business owners, and we've heard from representatives from the SBA, from Congress, the Department of Commerce. It's an impressive set of leaders, but today takes the cake because we have an amazing power duo. Today, we are so lucky to be joined by the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, and the SBA Administrator. Today's conversation couldn't come at a more important time. Confidence in our economy is high, and everything is beginning to look stronger and better, but we know small business owners need a continued partner in their government. But no fear, two amazing women are on the job. The Vice President and the Administrator are both lifelong champions of small business. They both have been working hard to help small businesses recover from this pandemic, and are now working to secure the bipartisan infrastructure deal that was announced yesterday. This bipartisan infrastructure deal will make a significant impact in improving the lives of small business owners, their workers, and your communities. With that, let's get this program started. It's now my honor and my privilege to turn the conversation over to our amazing SBA Administrator and a friend, Isabel Guzman. Administrator, over to you.
Thank you, Rhett, for partnering with the SBA on the Getting Back on Track series and for all that you do for small businesses. Also for gathering this incredible group of entrepreneurs and small business advocates. I know today's discussion is going to be great. We have a strong program with several special guests, including Congressman Jason Crow and our SBA team of dedicated experts, and of course, our Vice President, Kamala Harris. I've spent the past several weeks traveling around the country, meeting with small business owners. They've been reopening their doors and welcoming their customers back. And as the latest economic reports show, our economy is clearly on the road to recovery. From the restaurant owner in Las Vegas who has plans to open more locations across the state, to the music venue operator in Richmond who is once again selling tickets for live shows, small businesses are feeling more optimistic about the future. And it's thanks in large part to the billions of dollars in relief funded by the American Rescue Plan, which Vice President Harris worked so hard to get passed. At the same time, with the impact of COVID-19 still weighing heavily, many of our small businesses continue to struggle. After months of disruptions, increased costs and debt, there is still uncertainty, especially among our smallest businesses in rural and low-income communities and those owned by women and people of color. These entrepreneurs faced historic inequities and persistent barriers, which kept them from accessing early rounds of relief and other vital resources. That's why the Biden-Harris administration's focus on equity is so important. If our nation is going to recover fully, then we must give everyone with an idea or an entrepreneurial dream the tools and support they need to help build our reimagined economy. The SBA has scaled from a $40 billion portfolio to more than $1 trillion in relief, and we remain committed to delivering billions more swiftly and equitably. Today, you'll learn about our COVID economic injury disaster loan program, tax credits to help vaccinate your workforce, our PPP direct forgiveness portal for loans of $150,000 or less, and more. We are working to design and implement programs that are streamlined and accessible to meet our small businesses where they are. And the bipartisan infrastructure deal announced yesterday will be a game changer, providing unprecedented investments in infrastructure and enhancing our global competitiveness. In addition, the Biden-Harris administration's Buy American initiative, which includes a commitment to buy from all of America, will create important new opportunities and will build on efforts to increase federal contracts for small businesses with financing and business development support at the SBA. Small businesses are at the forefront of the Biden-Harris administration's Build Back Better agenda. As we know, they are our job creators and the giants in our economy. I'm honored to be joined today by Vice President Kamala Harris, who throughout her career has fought to strengthen small businesses, increase access to capital, and help all entrepreneurs thrive. She is committed to supporting the smallest of the small businesses through community lenders, which are a critical part of SBA's network. During the pandemic, they were able to provide billions of dollars in PPP forgivable loans to our smallest businesses, thanks to her advocacy. Small businesses are close to her heart, and I am so proud that we have a vice president who regularly takes time to meet with our nation's entrepreneurs to hear about their challenges, ideas, and dreams for the future. Everyone, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Vice President Kamala Harris.
Oh, thank you. Well, hello, everyone. Hello. I've been looking at you on this screen in front of me, and I want to thank you all for all the courage and endurance and commitment that you all have shown forever, but especially in this last year and a half. And it is great to be with all of you. I want to thank the administrator, Isabel Guzman, for your kind introduction, but also for your leadership. She and I have had many conversations since the beginning of the first days of our administration, and you really are so committed and such a great and important leader, especially at this moment in time. So thank you all. Thank you all for your leadership and for being here. When I look at you and when I think about who you are, it's clear. You are not only leaders in business, you are civic leaders, you are community leaders, and you are our country's leaders. I strongly believe that when someone starts a small business, it is a true act of self-determination. A small business owner must have a vision, and through hard work and support, realize that vision, which of course helps determine not only their future, but the future of their community. Just think about it. Small businesses provide almost everything that people need in their community, where they live, in their neighborhood. From the local dry cleaner to the local neighborhood restaurant to the small batch manufacturer. Small businesses create good paying jobs and in fact employ, I don't need to tell you all, nearly half of the private sector workforce of America. Small businesses keep our nation competitive. The president and I spent a lot of time thinking about our relationship with our allies and even our adversaries around the world. And one of the great points of emphasis for us is that we must remain competitive. Well, you are a big part of the formula for how we will do that. All that to say, you do so much. So again, thank you. When the president and I first took office, one of our top priorities was to provide small businesses with relief. And I don't need to remind you guys of those days when we first took office and how folks were hurting and suffering, in particular, how our small businesses were going through so much pain through no fault of their own. But through our American Rescue Plan, we did what we intended to do in terms of relief to the tune of $60 billion. And as a result, so many small businesses have been able to reopen and stay afloat. In fact, we learned today, in the first half of this year, our economy has grown at the fastest rate in nearly 40 years. That's a good sign. And to build on this growth, our administration recognizes that small business owners need more than just relief. They need more than only relief. They need more than relief. And in particular, an area that I focused on, as the administrator has said, is on what small businesses need also in terms of access to capital. Access to capital. and an infrastructure that supports your growth. And so our administration intends to deliver on both fronts. First, on the issue of access to capital. So over the first 6 months, we have been in direct contact. And in fact, I've called and talked with some of the most active CDFIs, or community lenders. CDFIs is the wonky term, but community lenders in our nation. And through these discussions and the work that I've been doing with Janet Yellen and our Treasury Department, we have begun to work on increasing community lending capacity, right? So they do so much, but we need to increase their capacity to do more. And as you well know, traditional banks, well, they've not always seen or understood the vision like a community bank can take, for example, women, small business owners, or small business owners of color, or small business owners who serve local communities or low-income communities. Community lenders, on the other hand, well, they understand the value in providing access to capital directly to communities. They often exist in the community, they live in the community, they understand the community, and in that way understand the vision and the ideas of the small business owners within those communities. Community lenders have an incredible capacity, therefore, to add value to those communities and, by extension, to our whole country. And that is why we must support these lenders and why that has been one of the areas of focus for us. Second, we will invest in the infrastructure that supports your growth. So we've had a lot of work that, as you all know, has been happening in these last 6 months to do just that. And there was a big vote last night. I'm sure many of you were tracking it. And this is all in the context of the work the President and I have been doing for months now with members of Congress on infrastructure policy. So yesterday, the Senate voted to advance a bipartisan infrastructure deal. And 67 senators voted in favor of moving the deal forward. Republican senators and Democratic senators. And the bipartisan infrastructure deal will improve the lives of people in our country and the strength of our small businesses. And I think I will speak for the President and myself to say it's a point of pride that it was a bipartisan deal, because I don't need to tell you all, small businesses, the contribution they make to communities and the challenges they face really don't have much to do with who they voted for in the last election or will in the next election. It has to do with what they need to do on the ground every day to actually be successful and add value to their communities. And why? I mean, if you think about the infrastructure piece of it and why the bipartisan work was important, well, infrastructure, it is more difficult to get your goods to market when our roads are crumbling. Infrastructure, why is that important? Well, it's more difficult for your customers to travel to your store when our transit, in particular our public transit systems, are failing. It is more difficult for small businesses to reach new customers when their internet connection is slow, or in many cases, and I know we have a lot of rural business leaders here, when that internet connection is slow or non-existent. So our infrastructure as a nation needs an upgrade. And the bipartisan infrastructure deal, for that reason, is, we believe, historic, because it will make a once-in-a-generation investment in our nation's infrastructure, positioning our small businesses to compete in the 21st century. And I'll share with you a quick story about an incredible business leader among the many. I've been traveling around the country meeting with folks. And recently I met a business owner by the name of Megan Kaiser. And she runs an agricultural lab in Bowling Green, Missouri. And we had a long conversation. But her family's business is at the cutting edge of precision agriculture and green farming. And her clients, therefore, are from all over the world. But she pointed out she's got a really big problem on the infrastructure point, which is she cannot get the internet at speeds that she needs to load soil samples for her clients. So literally she's talking to customers or potential customers from around the world, and then she needs to send them her spreadsheet. She needs to send them information about what she's doing. And because the infrastructure around the internet is so slow, she can't upload what she needs to send them immediately. So, what she said to me is, I want to be competitive. I feel that my business is a reflection of America's commitment to business and small business. And she basically let on that it's kind of embarrassing because she wants to be thought of because she is a world-class business. But if she doesn't have the infrastructure to support what she is doing, which is running a world-class business, then what's that going to mean to the bottom line? So our nation's infrastructure must support businesses like hers and support the growth of all small businesses. And with that, let me just end where I began, which is the point of self-determination. I think it's such an important point. All of you have vision and you have drive. A strong sense of purpose often comes from within, as we all know. But it requires support. Support from your family and your friends, support from your community, and you deserve to have the support from your government. So I want you to know that the President and I are 100% committed to supporting America's small businesses and small business owners. And again, thank you all for your leadership, for your courage, for your strength, for your vision. And I look forward to working with you as we go forward. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Well, that was amazing. Now you know what motivates me every day. I mean, this incredible incentive for helping our small businesses. And now it's my privilege to introduce two small business owners, Tiara Flynn and Walt Rowan. Tiara Flynn is an entrepreneur and an Air Force veteran from Las Vegas, Nevada. As president and CEO of Some New Marketing, a minority business enterprise originally launched by her father, it's a family business, Tiara helps fellow small business owners access the marketing tools they need to grow. She's won numerous awards for her efforts to partner with other minority business enterprises. And Some New Marketing received SBA assistance during the COVID pandemic through our PPP and EIDL programs. So welcome, Tiara. Please kick us off and share your question for the Vice President.
Thank you so much, Administrator Guzman. As a two-time SBA award-winning family-owned firm, we really appreciate you being here and the support that we've gotten over the years. Madam Vice President, I can't thank you enough for being here with us small business owners today. You mentioned access to capital in your remarks, as well as the administrator, and you work with, our community lenders. For many of us, especially those in the underserved areas, access to capital is crucial. Even before the pandemic, Black women entrepreneurs received drastically lower venture funding support on average compared to our white counterparts. And yet over 1.5 million businesses generating $45 billion in revenue are majority owned by Black women. As we move beyond the pandemic, how do you think about expanding access to capital for small businesses, and specifically as it relates to closing the gaps and disparities for Black women entrepreneurs?
That's a great question and a great point. So I'll tell you, first of all, here's how I see it. The pandemic really, in many ways, exposed the fissures and the failures and the fractures in our society and in our economy and in our structures and our systems. But I do look at that as also an opportunity that was created, right? Which is more people have been able to see the flaws that we have known have existed. And in that way, I think that there is a will, a desire, and a momentum to address that stuff and address it head on. And so let's think about it in terms of the context in which we now exist. I think of it as we are starting a new era, and a new epoch, a new, in many ways, beginning, but a beginning in that this is the moment to really leapfrog into where we need to be instead of thinking just incrementally about how we can progress. And in that way, then, with that sense of optimism, but also ambition, I think we have an opportunity to shape an economy of the future and to make it more inclusive, right? The president cares deeply about, let's build from the ground up. Let's build right from the middle out. But I also say, let's build from the outside in, right? Let's make sure that we are inclusive and bringing folks into these systems. And so for CDFIs, for community lenders, they are uniquely designed and exist. It's almost the culture of their businesses to really have an awareness and a sensitivity to see the vision of communities and then to help harness the talent and the ambition within those communities. And, for example, the place of my birth, Oakland, California, one of the small businesses, those that I've been visiting, is the Rain Company. And there I met with a woman who started a catering company, like many restaurants and caterers in their own kitchen, right? And then wanted to build on that and get an industrial size apparatus. And so she had the ambition and she went to a community lender to invest, knowing that catering company in that place actually was something the community wanted and would support. I met with and talked with Ona Leeboy, who is a Native American entrepreneur who is investing in a quilt business, knowing that the community actually, quilt ceremonies and quilts are very important to the community. It's something people want. And she was able to go to a community lender to get that kind of support because the community lender understood what the community wants and understood her vision then. So that's the work that we need to do. And in fighting for small businesses in particular, again, understand that one of the keys for folks to not only open a small business, but grow a small business, equally important, is access to capital. And so our Build Back agenda basically is designed to invest billions of dollars to support small businesses around access to credit and funding, of course, and research and development, which so many businesses need to do to, again, grow. And we're also putting resources and money, significant money, into creating incentives for venture capital investment. And that's all on top of the $60 billion that we did in the American Rescue Plan and with the PPP. To address the support that folks need. But again, as I said in my comments earlier, not only on the piece about relief, but what we need to do to leapfrog into where our system could actually be better than it was before. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I really appreciate
Thank
it
you.
and looking forward to the future work.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Madam Vice President, for that response. I think that you've nailed it. I mean, capital is going to lead to opportunities for our small businesses. And now we have Walt Rowan joining us. He's an entrepreneur from Columbia, Pennsylvania, which is a borough in Lancaster County that was once just a few votes shy of becoming the new United States capital, I've learned today. So Walt is the president of Susquehanna Glass, which is a family-owned and operated glass decorating business started more than 100 years ago by his uncle and grandfather with a single glass cutting machine on the banks of the Susquehanna River. So Walt has led the growth and expansion of the business to include extensive work in product development and sourcing, and he's proud to offer as well the Made in America sticker on most of his products and programs. Susquehanna Glass also received crucial relief during the pandemic from the SBA's PPP program. So welcome, Walt. Great to have you here. Please share your question for the Vice President.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice President. It is an honor to be speaking with you. My name is Walt Rowan. I am the owner of Susquehanna Glass in Columbia, Pennsylvania, and I'm a member of the Small Business for America's Future Small Business Council. We are a family-owned business that has been in business for over 111 years. We employ a little over 60 people. 50% of those are women. The pandemic has affected a majority of small street business owners, including myself. And infrastructure is so important to our work to recover from COVID-19, not just through the bipartisan infrastructure deal of new roads and bridges, but also through the broader investments in family supports, like childcare you spoke to in the Build Back Better plan as well. My question is, small businesses are the heartbeat of our economy and our communities. Sometimes it feels like policymakers just don't hear us. How are you to make small businesses have a voice in your efforts?
That's great. Well, first, let me congratulate you and your family, Walt. That's incredible. And I'm sure you've got a lot of lessons learned, and I'm sure you're by virtue of being with this group, sharing it with everyone. I'd like to hear some of the lessons learned so that I can make sure that our policies are reflecting those lessons as well. But, here's how I see it. And I hope that this is something that I can say over and over again to as many people as possible. I believe that our small business owners are pillars of the community. I know small businesses. I grew up in neighborhoods of small businesses. You are not only business leaders, you are civic leaders. It is our small businesses that are supporting the local Little League team, that are hiring locally, that are role models for the young people in the community. You are the ones where, whether it be a restaurant or a dry cleaner or you name it, where, folks can go and their names. And if they're having a bad day and they walk in, you can kind of sense it and say, hey, how you doing? I mean, really, small businesses are so much, not just intertwined, are so much the part of the fabric of communities, the culture of communities, the heartbeat of communities. I love our small businesses. It's, and not to mention, not only in terms of the heartbeat and the soul of and the culture of the community, you are part of the heartbeat and the infrastructure of our economy, So for all of those reasons, we have to see, highlight, uplift the stories and the role of our small businesses. And, at its core also, I do feel very strongly that government should be in the business of encouraging and rewarding self-determination, right? And self-determination, in my mind, is as much as anything about encouraging people to have a vision and to actualize that vision, encouraging people to have choices and exercise those choices, to make decisions about their lives, to act on, right, good ideas. And that's as much as anything what you and what everyone as a small business, what you do. Again, in addition to employing half of the private sector workers in America. So we're making sure that small businesses have a voice, and in large part that's about making sure that we are listening. And I'll tell you, the first event that I did when we came into the White House was with small business owners. My first visit, leaving this place and getting out there was with small businesses. In fact, I'll tell you, I don't know if she's on it, but one of the first small business I visited, a place called Fiberspace, just in Virginia, and it's a small business that it's basically for crochet and knitting and beautiful yarns and I'll use that business as an example of what I'm talking about. I visited there 6 months ago, so it was still while we were really feeling the effects of the pandemic. And her small business is a place that people could go. And she would talk about their craft, and she would talk about, then by extension, their dreams and their lives and their families, And so anyway, we will continue to advocate for you, for all of our small businesses. And of course, as I said earlier, there's $60 billion in the American Rescue Plan. Working with Secretary Yellen on CDFIs and doing also more to as the conversations I've been having with CEOs of the big corporations like JP Morgan and Bank of America, to talk with them as I've been about not only what they can and have the capacity to do around PPPs, but again, the piece that's about the private equity component of community lending. So thank you. And again, congratulations to your family for your success.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Vice President.
Thank you.
And if you keep listening, we certainly have plenty of stories to tell.
Yeah, that's
Thank
right.
you again.
Thank you.
Well, let me add my thanks to you, Madam Vice President and SBA Administrator. This has been an amazing conversation. There's so much going on right now with the infrastructure deal. The fact that you took this 30 minutes to be with us means so much to our community. But we also want to let you get back to work to get that infrastructure bill passed. So we appreciate you being with us. Thank you so much on behalf of all of this amazing group of small business leaders from across the country.
Thank you.